Sonic, the heart of your system.
What is up, guys? This is Luke Hill for Kickaroo, and we're here in the Nvidia booth for CES 2020 looking at some of the cool new technologies on offer. Let's jump around. So here we can see Nvidia's RTX Studio ecosystem for creators, and this makes a lot of sense. This is an MSI laptop with a GeForce RTX graphics card, and in theory there's no reason why you should be using gaming drivers if you're just using Premiere Pro and the likes. So you can use the Studio Edition drivers. You don't have to consistently update and worry about instability or new bugs. You can have the stability and carry on with your work. So this demo is showing the auto reframe tool in Adobe Premiere Pro, and this is pretty cool if you're shooting footage for use on a smartphone or a device which is vertically orientated rather than your typical 16:9 horizontal. And Nvidia tells us this is using the AI technology within their GPUs to do the auto reframe. So this is significantly faster than using the CPU, or we're told the Intel iGPU also. So here we're looking at the HP all-in-one system, which is a pretty slick system, very nice screen here. And this is RTX Studio, and it's up to a GeForce RTX 2080 Max-Q. And this is Davinci Resolve with 8K red footage. And what we're seeing here is that initially when it's being slowed down, the frame duplication creates jerkiness in the motion. But Nvidia's graphics card can use the AI technology and the hardware inside the graphics processor to smooth that out by introducing new frames so that you get the smoothing effect. And I can say in person this is significantly improved. So we asked Nvidia what the performance difference is here, and for this few seconds of footage, it takes a few minutes on the graphics card to processor. If we were using an Intel iGPU, it would be significantly longer, and if you were doing this on the CPU, you're talking about an hour. So if you want to quickly smooth out a small section of footage or a long section of footage, you're going to save a lot of time, and that's pretty important. So here we can see Nvidia Gaugan, and basically what this is you can take your pen, you can do some sketching, and then the GPU uses AI inference to try to understand exactly what you're doing. So if you're an artist and you quickly want to sketch, I don't know, a rock in midair, you can sketch that and then it puts your rock in midair. So you can get a pretty quick interpretation of what is in your imagination very, very quickly, and it's a lot easier than some of the other methods of doing this fundamentally from scratch. So Nvidia tells us that 140 Turing laptops available, 60 of which, or around about 60 of which, have Max-Q design. What we see here is the brand new Asus Zephyrus G14, and this is the world's first 14-inch laptop with an RTX graphics card, and this is an RTX 2060 Max-Q with a 65-watt TGP. So you really are enabling a higher level of graphics performance in a pretty sleek form factor. I must say, I do quite like this form factor, and the overall design is pretty slick to say the least. So we've got a HP system here with a dual screen layout. So you've obviously got your conventional screen, and then like we saw on the Asus laptop, you've actually got this screen near to where the keyboard is. Now don't be confused by these black bits because these are not part of the screen. I've already made that mistake like they are with the Asus version. But here you get this small 1920 by 1080 screen, which is pretty cool if you want to put, I don't know, a YouTube video on when you're meant to be doing your homework or your graphics design work. Pretty slick to say the least, and we've confirmed with Nvidia that these are both running off the Nvidia graphics card, not the iGPU, so don't have to worry about any rendering problems there if you're using the lower power Intel iGPU. So this is the Asus Pro Art Studio Book 1 with the Quadro RTX 6000, and we saw this at IFA in Berlin a few months ago. And fundamentally this is showing the amount of GPU capability you can squeeze into a laptop if you're giving it a new form factor. So if you have really demanding workloads such as this model, and I'm going to press some buttons and talk at the same time, which is going to be a disaster. But effectively what you're doing is a really complex model, which looks like a photo, but it's not, it's a model. But because you're using the Quadro GPU and you're using CUDA acceleration, you can actually push this pretty hard model on a laptop. So Nvidia worked with Asus to help design this, and I guess one of the main challenges is going to be cooling this amount of GPU capability, and this is why we see the very unique design where the GPU is mounted around the back and we have the angle design for the stand on the back. It actually vents out the top, so I mean don't put any documents on a shelf above it because you're going to blow them completely out. But it's using a vapor chamber design to get rid of that heat, because this is a pretty hefty graphics card for a relatively thin laptop actually. So when we first looked at this, we actually thought it was a photo on screen because the model quality is extremely high. But just to demonstrate that this actually is a model, I'm going to put the mic down and I'm going to grab the mouse and start messing around and probably break something. like I said, probably break something. So we can see, once you've moved it around, it's then rendering the new view in real time. And if we go back into Task Manager, you can see that the GPU is being pushed pretty hard with relatively high VRAM usage for the 24 gig VRAM that it's got. So it's being pushed pretty hard, but this looks very, very good, very, very quickly. So here we can see the difference between 60 Hz. I'm basically going to shoot this dude in the head and then spin around and try and shoot him again as quickly as possible. So what we can see is when he's moving, it's actually quite difficult to lock down. And this is not an interpretation of my gaming skills, which are clearly very poor. But it's actually quite difficult to lock him down as the guy is stepping back and forth. So if we quickly move along to the 360 Hz version, what we can actually see is that it's very smooth, so it's easier to lock the dude down. Clearly my gaming skills, again, are the limitation here, but it's very easy to lock him down because that motion is being updated more times per second, so you can lock on a bit better. And when you shoot, you're shooting at the real time, not at the delayed time where the image is being passed through. I will add that I was the outlier here, so my performance actually regressed going from 60 Hz to 360 Hz, but that's not meant to happen. We have to be honest though, of course. So I'm stood next to a really, really big TV. I haven't got my banana for scale, but I've got a Luke for scale. It's very large. So this is one of the new LG 2020 OLED TVs, and these are actually G-Sync compatible. So if you're using HDMI 2.1 VRR, such as with Nvidia's new Turing graphics cards, then you can run the variable refresh rate on a very, very big monitor, and it looks pretty slick. So here we can see a comparison between our peasant class monitor, which is only 4K 60 HDR, 384 light-in zones, and 400 nits peak brightness. And basically what it's showing is that the image looks very, very good. I'm not even going to deny that, it looks great. But it doesn't look as good as these two beasts over here. Now these are designed with a collaboration between the monitor manufacturers, so ASUS and Acer, between the panel manufacturers, that's AU Optronics, and between Nvidia themselves with the electronics inside this. So of course they're G-Sync compatible, but here they're 4K 144 Hz HDR with 1400 nits peak brightness and 1152 lighting zones. So you're probably not going to see it once this gets smashed through the YouTube algorithm, but the image is superior. You can see the contrast better. This gun is particularly dark around here, and when we saw the explosion on screen, it was very, very vivid. At one point my eyes actually started hurting because it was particularly bright. So, you know, take your pick. Do you want bad eyes? Pick this one. Thanks for watching our coverage here from the Nvidia booth for CES. Make sure you let us know what you think in the comment section below. Give us a like and subscribe if you like the video. Let us know what you think on the written article on the Kickaroo website. And if you want to support us, buy a cool t-shirt.